Welcome to another literally first class podcast. I kind of like getting dressed for these episodes. I like outfit changes and everything. It's super fun. It reminds me of when I was on my friend Tori Gordon's podcast, the Coachable podcast in Vegas. And at the time, she was under the Blue Wire Network in Vegas. I think it was at the Wynn. And it was really fun because she showed me her studio and we did outfit changes for a couple things. Yeah, it's just a really fun invitation to level up my wardrobe. Okay, so before I get into today's topic, which we're going to be diving into monetizing momentum and what that means for multi-million-dollar leaders, I want to share with you a few housekeeping things, a few upcoming things. So if you are a female founder from 7 to 9 figures and you want to elevate the conversation, change the rooms that you're in, and expand your network, we have a free series that you might not know about called the Founders Roundtable. This is a monthly series, almost monthly, except for October, because we're going to be super busy with the retreat and the Champagne Club dinner event. But this is a live roundtable show where I'm bringing in 3 panelists almost every single month, and we're going to have important, relevant conversations that are real, raw, and behind the scenes of what it actually means to run a company that is successful and profitable and build a team and company culture and be in it for the long game. Like back in January, we did one and the topic was all about future proofing your business for sustainable success. Like, how do you actually play the long game? What does longevity really look like? And you're going to hear it from the mouths of some incredible female founders, all different industries. We've had like spiritual shamans, we've had psychotherapists, we've had top models, global models. We've had, who else was in there? Best-selling authors, fitness experts. It's just the women coming into this room to serve you and have these conversations are just incredible. So it's free, but there is a financial pre-qualifier simply because I want to make sure that you're in the right room. Honestly, some of the topics are just not going to be relevant if you're not quite there yet in your business, for obvious reasons, right? Team, revenue, profitability, it's just not going to be applicable. So we'll put that link below. You can register for our next one that's coming up in April, and topic will be announced soon, but that's going to be a really cool conversation to be part of. Another thing, we have our next Champagne Club dinner event coming up. And at the time of recording, we still have tickets left, although I wonder if we'll be sold out by then. It's May 3rd here in Atlanta. And this is an in-person one-day event where I get to do 3 hours of somatic leadership work with you, meaning we're going to do some gentle transformation and breakthrough coaching using somatic strategies. Then we have a 5-hour siesta, I'm calling it a little 5-hour glam time break. And we'll meet back up for a sit-down, coursed-out meal with 40 other powerhouse women. I love doing these. Last year, we were selling tickets for this year for all 3 events in advance. The women that come to these rooms are incredible. There's more than 50 women inside the Champagne Club community right now. These are they're like mini retreats. In a way, like you come and you can add bookends a la carte if you want. Like we have opportunities to do a one-on-one half-day immersion with me. You could book in a single session somatic session with me. We could shoot with my brand photographer, Chelsea Patricia. There's so many different opportunities, or you can jet in and jet out of town if you need to get back to family or you have other things going on. So it's really fun. Some people come and they make a trip of it. I mean, a lot of people often do that, and they'll book at the St. Regis. They'll treat themselves to a nice staycation, and they will, book in and have lunch and brunch with some other friends that they make. So make sure you get your ticket to that event if you haven't already, and I'll put the link below. Let's talk about monetizing momentum. So I think a lot of leaders get this wrong because, like I mentioned before, the women I work with come to me when they're kind of feeling stuck or they're at this upper limit and they know that they're capable of so much more. And, side note, they've already done like a fuck ton of stuff. Like I had one client, she came to me, she had already written like 4 books. She had already spoken on stages. She had already put together her own events. And there was still something inside that didn't feel quite fulfilled, that didn't feel quite at peace, that wasn't quite present with her family. And she was also having issues with her team and delegating and cycling through hiring and firing. And she was like, okay, I know I'm the common denominator of all these things. How do I fix this? How do I move through this? How can I be both a present mom and, the earner in my household and handle all the stresses that come with leading at higher levels? Truly, when you become a female founder that's running a multi-million dollar company, there simply are just very unique challenges that come with that, especially when you are the high earner in your household. First of all, let's talk about the obvious. There's the dynamic that exists between you and your partner that might shift if you're the high earner. It just does, right? And that's really hard. Then add to the mix if you're a mom. Yeah, you have like business probably is very easy for you to prioritize. That makes sense because it all falls on you. You're responsible for everything and everyone. It's a lot. That is a lot of stress. That's a lot of pressure. And it's not just a one time, it's like ongoing. And if you raise the stakes, you have higher stakes that could potentially be lost, right? Like you're playing a bigger game. You have more team, you have more investments, you've got more companies in your portfolio. There's a lot going on there. Okay, so you got the partner dynamic, you've got motherhood. Then let's talk about your team. Now, not only are you a master of your craft, but now you're creating company culture, right? You're maybe planning ways that the company gives back, initiatives, nonprofit initiatives. You're training your team for higher levels of success, and profitability and productivity. You are still in maybe client fulfillment if you are a service-based industry, which a lot of my clients are, even though we are not industry specific. That's a lot, right? I've just named a few things and they're all really big deals. So how do you keep momentum going when you feel like you might be on the brink of burnout? Like, what does that look like? How can you lead at the highest level to maintain momentum, right? Because if you can't maintain that momentum, you don't have a company, you have a prison. And I don't know anybody that says, "Hey, I started entrepreneurship for less freedom." They want more freedom, right? But someone has to do the work. So you've got to delegate out. We have to figure out how you can continue to keep your momentum going and monetize that. So here are a few of the things that I see that are available to you to learn how to manage that momentum and keep it going to create sustainable success, right? So number one, high level leaders do not mistake busyness for growth. Just because your calendar is booked out to wazoo doesn't make you that much more important, doesn't make you that much more special. You're already special, you're already important. You don't need your calendar to be booked out the ass in order to feel more important, okay? It's busy is not a badge of honor. It really is not. You're going to be burned out so quickly and you're going to be so maxed for time. It's not even funny. I don't know about you, but I don't want a company that has me like scheduled for every minute of my day. In fact, Fridays are a swing day for that reason because I want a little bit of flexibility and fluidity with my calendar and my schedule. But I have people in place to make sure that everything is being covered and watched while I'm not there or while I might be out of pocket for a little bit or while I might be traveling. So you get to build the business that you want. Okay. Busyness, not a badge of honor. Your packed calendar does not mean you're progressing. I remember this one client, she was like, I feel like I'm doing all the right things, but I'm just not seeing the numbers add up. And I was like, pull up your calendar, right? Like right now, pull up your calendar. We're going to look at what's going on and we're going to color code it. And we're going to color code all the money making activities. We're going to color code all the things that drain you. We're going to color code all the things that you love. And if you're in my Apex Academy, we have a whole module on this, which is called calendar integrity. It's creating the life you say you actually want, setting boundaries, and keeping you in your zone of genius, right? Which is important to create what? More energy, more sustainability, more longevity so that you don't get burned the fuck out. So she pulls it up and I'm like, okay, whoa. I'm like, just looking at this, like I have anxiety in my body. She had every 15 minutes scheduled in her calendar. I said, be honest with me. How much of this are you actually doing? And it wasn't because I doubted her ability to be disciplined and show up to all those things, but it was like eating, showering, walking, like all of it was scheduled. And she was like, I basically do none of it. She was like setting herself up for, I don't even want to say such high expectations, but for overwhelm and chaos that it almost felt so overwhelming to even open her calendar that she would get paralyzed and didn't do any of it. Or creating this constant relationship with herself where it was like, see where you're dropping the ball? Like, see how you're not doing and following through on what you said you were going to do? Like, see how you're not working hard enough? And so what was she doing? She was working like every day of the week. because she was constantly behind on a calendar that was simply unfucking realistic to maintain. So that is something that as you ascend, you can't do that. Like, you need to lead at a higher level, right? And high level leaders, they know how to prioritize things that are a huge yes. They're going to forward them to the next goal, right? I talked in a couple episodes ago about when you have the goggles on and you're looking down at your 3x3 in the ocean. You're like, oh, look at the fish and the pretty coral. And then you like pick up your goggles and you look out at the ocean. And you're like, oh my God, this is just a tiny little bubble part of the ocean. There's a whole ocean out there. There's a whole horizon line. So they know, these high level leaders, you know how to take that one action that creates exponential results. You also know how to say no more than yes. And you've got to have better boundaries so that you don't bottleneck speed. Okay. This season that you're in is going to require you to say no more than yes, because by default, when you say no, you're saying a louder yes to the things that you need to take you there to that horizon line, right? Number 2, they scale their nervous system first. This is a capacity thing. If you want to know how to avoid self-sabotage, you scale your nervous system before you scale your business, or you scale it as you're scaling your business. You can do both at the same time. 70% of lottery ticket winners spend away the entire earnings that they just acquired. Not because they're consciously sitting there saying, I'd really love to be right back where I was with no money and struggling and not having all this abundance and wealth. They're not consciously saying that, but their body is like freaking out because their identity hasn't shifted. They have not yet become the person that has money. They have become the person that has money that doesn't feel like they should, that feels guilty for it, that doesn't know what to do with it, that doesn't know how to manage it. And so what do? They subconsciously spend it away and end up right back where they started, not because they want to, but because that's where they feel safest. That's why the somatic work, if you are not including this in on your strategy, you are missing out on so much exponential growth, but it's honestly costing you, or it could cost you, your next level. Most people I know that are really successful have also experienced what I call the great downfall. They have seen fast success. They have seen something work really well, and they have like maybe quantum leaped, and then they haven't been able to hold it. Okay, that is likely an indication of capacity, myself included. Listen, I'm not immune to this. This happened to me too. I could not hold the level that I called in. It was so fast. It was a little scary, right? Even like good things, when you want them to happen, can feel very scary. And this is not a strategy thing, right? It's not like you need to learn another skill. This is a somatic thing. This is a nervous system thing. It's a safety strategy, right? It's a safety thing. That's the other thing. This is why most more strategy solutions really just don't work out, right? Because it's not really a strategy thing. You're already smart. You already probably know where you're going. It's a capacity issue. We need the capacity to execute them. We need the capacity to hold them and continue to hold them. That's what this episode is all about, monetizing momentum. Momentum doesn't just stop. It keeps going. So how can you keep going? And if you're stressed, honestly, like if you're stressed as fuck all the time, you will silently sabotage your wins. You just will, because your party is not going to want that. Or you're going to feel like, how could I continue to keep this level? Like, I know what it required of me to get here and to stay here for a minute, but like, can I keep doing this? And that might really put your nervous system on the fritz and require you to return to safety, AKA go back to where you once knew, which is not having that level of success, not having that money, not having that win, not having that team, not having those clients, whatever it is. Okay. Number 3, you know when to sustain versus accelerate. There are seasons of stabilizing and neutralizing. I always say this to clients. When you hit that new next level, you have one job, and it's to do 2 things: to neutralize and normalize. Why? Because if you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it, or this feels too good to be true, that's usually an indication you're at an upper level limit. Because if it's too good to feel true, it's not your truth. And, oh, I can't believe it, you're in disbelief. You need to be in belief. Like, you need to be sitting there and being like, of fucking course this happened. Of fucking course I'm right here right now. Of fucking course this is my reality. Absolutely. And I can hold this and I can stay here, right? So there's seasons of sustaining, and then there's seasons of acceleration. Both are momenting in different ways. If you can envision a tree for a moment, back when I was in Taylor Welsh's group a couple years ago, and I was one of the guest speakers, and I had this graphic that I created, and the graphic was of a tree. And you could see the root system under the dirt. It was just like a black and white illustration. It wasn't a photo, it was just like a line drawing. And you could see the root system. And the important thing to know here is that not all growth looks like it's moving forward. It might just be stabilizing the root system below, but it also might be upward growth, vertical growth, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you're moving anywhere. A tree is arguably one of the most anchored things possible. It's not walking around, it's in the root system, it's in the earth, it's planted, right? And it grows in two directions. So we have to stabilize, right? We have to have our root system be very solid. And then we can also experience vertical growth and harvest, if you will, to go very far with this visual. But there's a time for both. We can't always be growing if we're not developing our root system, because then what happens? The tree falls over. It's just too much, right? Too much tree, too much, no sustainability. We also can't just have the roots, because then there's no growth, there's no fruit to bear, there's no leaves, there's no harvest. So we have to have both, and we have to know when to do both. And multi-million dollar leaders that are leading better know how to do this. You know when to accelerate or sustain, and you know how to do those things, because that's really important, right? Otherwise, you're going to be in a fight flight response 24/7. It's not going to feel very good in your nervous system, because that is not sustainable. And you're probably going to dream about moving to the beach to sell tacos. And I wouldn't blame you, right? I really wouldn't. But the real money is honestly in sustaining momentum without overexerting yourself, replicating your systems, multiplying your team, staying in your zone so that you can amplify your energy. You're going to feel more energized when you get to stay in your zone. Does that mean you're going to always stay in your zone? You're only ever doing fun stuff? No, because that's not realistic. And running a business requires you to do not fun things too. But you're going to try and do that as much as possible, staying in your zone of genius. So I have some questions for you. I want you to get your journal out and write these down. What season of the momentum cycle are you in right now? Where are you at in your momentum cycle? And are you forcing growth when you should be sustaining, or holding back when you should be making those power moves that actually move the needle in your business? Okay, so you can play it back, pause it, journal. And if you need more help with this, if you're scaling and you know you're that this is more than tactics, you've got the strategy work covered, right? You need the capacity for this success that you're going to be building and holding, then book one of my sessions below, and we can either hop on a 15-minute somatic strategy call, which is totally free, just a value add. It's not a sales pitch at all. And we will identify the one thing I think is available for you that might be holding you back from your next level, the upper limit that I see right in front of you. Or you can go ahead and just skip that and book a single somatic session with me, and we can just do the rewiring work right there, right? We can literally have you walk away with releasing any old business trauma that's keeping you from building this again. If you're rebuilding, we can help you increase your capacity for more good things. Because like I said, like even really good things can feel really scary if it feels like it's happening fast, and you have disbelief about it. And then we can improve your performance, because hey, who doesn't want that? So go ahead and book those below, either one, whatever feels right for you. And I'll see you on the next episode of Literally First Class.